أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh everybody ahlan wa sallam. Welcome to our live stream today to talk about the student debt crisis, talk about the impact that student debt has on Muslims in America at higher universities all across this country and what are they going through. In addition to that, we're also so excited to have our guest here today, Dr. Nisa, who I'll introduce in just a moment, who's going to be talking about her experiences dealing with young Muslims who are going to college, struggling to pay for their higher education. And we're going to be talking about a solution. And that solution, alhamdulillah, one of the many solutions is, of course, a continuous charity, a charity that I'm proud to be the co-founder of. As Faizan said, I'm the executive director, I'm the development manager of a continuous charity, and I'm also their co-founder as well. And we're going to be talking about how can you as a student apply for the A Continuous Charity Loan. What is that process like? And how can you get riba-free educational loans to go to college and get their higher education? With that, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest, which is none other than Dr. Nisa Muhammad. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Nisa Muhammad is, mashallah, an amazing lady. She's the Assistant Dean for Religious Life at Howard University in the Office of the Dean of the Chapel. She's an amazing woman who's agreed to be on here today, and we're really excited to have you. Dr. Nisa, assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
Well, Lakers, I am so happy to be here and talk about a continuous charity. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for being here today. I think one of the things that we really want to talk about and unpack is all of us know that college is expensive. All of us know that we have to take out, many people have to take out loans, especially with interest bearing on it. But I think the numbers themselves don't tell the true story. These are people's lives at the end of the day. There's stress involved. People have to grapple with their religion and their sense of duty to get their education. This has real world impact. I'd love to listen to you and get your input. What's your experience been talking to students who are trying to go to college, balance their education while also having to take on these interest-bearing loans? What have you experienced?
So for some students, it's really a nightmare. Having to find the money they need to pursue their education, having to find halal sources for this money and not having to deal with interest loans. And it's a tug of war. Some students are able to do it, some students are not. And so the average student in America, this is just average students, Muslim, Christian, whoever, the average student graduates with about $40,000 in debt, graduating from undergrad. Now, that does not take into account professional schools, medical schools, graduate schools, that they continue their education. That a debt continues to accumulate. And so for some people, before they can even get started in their career, they're already saddled with debt. And debt is a link akin to slavery, because you're constantly trying to pay off this debt, get rid of this debt. And so, alhamdulillah, we have a continuous charity that offers riba-free loans, and which is a lifesaver for many, many young people who sincerely desire to continue their education.
One of the interesting things that is there is when it comes to higher education and the cost of higher education, I'm going to actually share my screen for a moment. I want to just share this slide from our A Continuous Charity presentation. To build off of what Dr. Nisa mentioned, the student debt crisis isn't just a Muslim issue. It is a national issue. The debt in America today is at $1.7 trillion as of 2021. Now it's well over that. And actually, 45 million Americans have no choice but to take on these interest-bearing loans. As Dr. Nisa mentioned, the student debt is around $40,000, and that's just for undergraduate degrees, and every year is getting more expensive. One of the things we've noticed at A Continuous Charity, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is that this has real world impact. It not only means students are getting in debt, but they're delaying life milestones like getting married, trying to buy a house, it creates crisis in the family, it creates stress as well. Dr. Nisa, what have you seen from the students that you engage with at Howard University about what they're experiencing when they try to pay for college?
So it's almost like an albatross in their lives, like something around their neck with a rock that they cannot get rid of. Number one, you cannot get rid of student loan debt by declaring bankruptcy. You really, death is the only way you can get rid of student loans. I mean, for real, it is the only thing that they will not take off of your credit and off of your debt. You will owe this until you pay it. unless you become a public servant and you work it off some kind of way, or you make payments for 10 years and then they can maybe reduce it. But other than that, death is the only way to reduce it. And so the thing with a continuous charity, and there are Howard students that have gotten loans from a continuous charity to be able to continue their studies. It allows them to take a breath. It allows them to live their lives the way that they want to. It allows them to live the sunnah, to really be a Muslim in not just in word, but also in deed. And so it's just a wonderful opportunity for students to say, you know what, this is what I want to do.
One of the things that you said that really impacted me is that you really compare debt to a type of slavery. And I think really you're on the money on that, because even though we're free, because we have debt, we have to work. We have to spend our money, not just paying off the debt, but the interest on the debt. When you said that, what were you thinking about? Can you give us some examples?
So the thing is that if a person, let's say, for example, some Muslims do find the right person, they decide to get married, and so the young woman now decides, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want to have to go to work. Oh, but I got this student loan debt. This bill has to be paid month after month after month. So she cannot say, this is what I want to do, because that debt is facing her, and that payment is due every month. You cannot get rid of it through bankruptcy. For a lot of people, death is the only way they're able to discharge that debt. And so it prevents you. You are tied to that debt. That debt becomes your slave master. That debt is like, you will go to work, you will pay me, this is what will happen, or I'll just ruin your credit. A lot of people default, though. Now, people do default on their loans, but that loan really doesn't go away.
And default has so many negative consequences. Even when I moved to Texas just a few years ago, I was surprised to learn that when I apply for utilities like electricity, gas, water, they actually check your credit. And if you have bad credit, you'll pay a higher rate than if you have good credit. Meaning that those people who are impoverished, who are struggling, they're actually in this crazy system ending up paying more money. And it's just mind-boggling.
It's a poor tax. I mean, there is a tax to being poor in America. Just about everything when you're poor costs more. There is a higher interest rate if you are poor, because you're struggling, you can't afford to do what other people are able to do. So it really is very challenging.
One of the things that happened to me when I was in college, I went and studied with astronomy, physics, and math, and then I switched to political science and history. And one of the reasons I didn't continue law school is because I didn't want to take on interest-bearing loans to continue going to school at that time. And that's when I met my good friend, Dr. Atar Haq, and he was a unique individual. He'd basically go to the masjid, he'd meet Muslims who are struggling to pay for college, and use his own money, aka his father's money. He never told his father. He would take his dad's money, and he'd load it to these students. And he had this notebook with him, and he'd take down the names of the students and how much they owed him. And every month he'd call them to pay off their loans. What's amazing is just by doing that little bit of work, he was able to help a few, like at least 8 or 10 students, get their education, become financially successful. So as an ummah, we value education. Of course, the first revelation is Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. So I think that's the challenge that many people are going through, is how can they balance their education along with the debt crisis that's there as well.
And that's a challenge. How do you practice your faith in word and in deed and begin to make all your dreams come true? It's very difficult to do that with the student loan structure that America offers to young people. But a continuous charity is a blessing to be able to say, hey, we can help you with this, because young people need help. They need guidance to do the right thing.
100%. In fact, so those of you who may not know, A Continuous Charity is the first national Muslim charity that supports the education of students by awarding interest-free education loans. Many people think that we're a bank or that we're a for-profit company. Alhamdulillah, we're not. Actually, we work in the non-profit model. All we do, we go in the Muslim community, we raise money, we then put that money into our national educational fund. Every year, literally hundreds of students apply for our application, and we will get into legally binding contracts with those students. We use those funds to then pay their tuition. They go to college, get their education. That helps them get educated. They pay back their loans back into the educational fund, and we continue to raise more money. And this process goes on and on, becomes a Sadaqah Jariyah or a continuous charity as well. When I started this charity with Dr. Atar Haq, we started it with $60,000, helping 5 students. Now, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're at over 580 students we support all across the country. And in fact, we've been able to provide over $8 million, close to $9 million in educational loans. Our system works. People are paying back their loans. We've got almost over $3.5 million paid back. And the number, I want to get your thoughts on this, Dr. Nisa. We've saved the Muslim Ummah in America, just with these 580 students, almost $5 million in interest and riba. And I'm just thinking like, oh, there's tens of thousands of students, Muslim students that go to college and get their higher education. How many hundreds of millions of dollars are we losing because of the system?
I mean, you're absolutely right. Those numbers are incredible, but that's the reality of what's going on. Our money is going out of the community for these loans when it could be staying in the community with a continuous charity. That money that's going out, it could be sadaqah, it could be zakat, all of that, but it's going out because that debt is slavery. I'm telling you, for many people, death is the only way to get rid of that debt.
You know, one of the things that we're hearing a lot about in America today is economic inequality. And I think one of the things that really leads to that is the fact that there are companies and banks and corporations that don't have to actually do any work, right? All they need is money, which they borrow from the federal government, loan it to you at higher interest, and then they make the difference. They make that profit just by taking money from another institution and giving it to you. I don't know, what are your thoughts about that?
It's all a racket. It's all, banking is big business, and it's a very profitable business. And, in addition to, we need some Muslim banks because they are a source of finances where these banks are giving out these loans, but they're interest bearing. We need a Muslim bank to be able to do this without the interest. And so, it's just kind of mind boggling how the system works.
One of the things that we've been trying to do at A Continuous Charity, and this is maybe getting too much into the weeds, is, right now we're also forced to be in the banking system because at the end of the day, you need federally insured banks to do the work that A Continuous Charity does for people to make donations with their credit cards or debit cards. And I always wondered, I think you made a valid point, if we could really get out of that system, if we could get our own banks and our own institutions, similar to what the African American community tried to do in the past, and then of course through Jim Crow and through a host of systematic tools of oppression, it was not able to be done. But really to try to create a different system, and I will struggle with that in that, yes, alhamdulillah, we're able to give out these interest-free loans, but we're still using the same system, and I'm not sure how to actually break out of it.
Right. No, I love that idea. We need a Muslim bank. And we need to create, there's so many young people who have the technology, who have the education, they're business minded, they're economic minded, they know banking, all that, to say, look, we can create our own system that profits us because banking is big business. Yep. We get people in every city and people can do this remotely, send their money, open up an account with the bank here, and so we need a Muslim bank. I love it.
Alhamdulillah. One of the things that we want to talk about as well is, of course, many students who are watching this today, I think they agree with us. They know riba's haram. They hate the fact they have to take on $38,000 worth of debt for undergraduate, $48,000 of debt, and they want a solution. So alhamdulillah, for those of you who are joining us today and you're thinking about, okay, I'm convinced I want to apply for an A Continuous Charity loan, but you're not sure how to do it. Alhamdulillah, to apply for an A Continuous Charity loan, mashallah, is a very, very simple process. We make it fair for everybody. It's not like other institutions where you have to know somebody who knows somebody. I can't help you get a loan. Nobody can help you get a loan. You have to do it yourself. So alhamdulillah, January the 15th is when we open our application cycle. All of you can visit our website at acceducate.org/apply, or you can even scan this QR code and then it'll take you to the application page. I'm just going to share this element of it, which is the actual application page as well. So if you visit our website, acontinuouscharity.org, alhamdulillah, we have a beautiful website here. You'll learn all about A Continuous Charity. And then you click on this apply button, and it's right here. This page will tell you all about our criteria, along with what we use to determine the loan, the repayment, answer commonly held questions that people might have. And then scroll all the way to the bottom. You click on apply now, and then here's the online application. Easy, anybody can do it. Once you create that online application, it'll save as well. So you can start the application today and go until February the 28th is when the application cycle will then, of course, will then end. What's interesting though is that a continuous charity will look at four main criteria when giving out these loans. Number one is the financial need of the student. How much money does the student really need? Meaning, how much does college cost? How much is their income? What's that difference? We also look at their merit. How well are they doing in school? What are their grades? The other two categories are unique to us. We look at their Islamic scholarship. That doesn't mean they're an imam or mufti with the big beard, but it means, do you take the deen of Allah seriously? Are you trying to implement Islam in your life? Are you going to halakas and talks or listening to lectures on YouTube? And then fourth is volunteerism and community activism, meaning that, are you volunteering at the MSA, at the food bank? Are you protesting on the street when there's injustice? Because we believe if we can support the students who are smart, who need the money, who are trying to be better Muslims and are active in their community, they're the ones that are going to replace all of us in the future, inshallah. So we'd love to have all of you go check out our website and apply. I know I get this question asked all the time. We give loans to students who are undergraduate students, graduate students, PhD medical students. We've actually funded almost 80 physicians across the country, alhamdulillah. And the one that I really want to emphasize is refinancing. I know a lot of young people, I'm sure you know people as well, they're graduated, they have jobs, they have families even, but they still have $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 worth of debt. I was actually at the Mass ICNA convention recently, and I met a brother who's very active in the Muslim community. He's over 60 years old, and he still had a student debt. I was just shocked to hear that he's still paying it off. Because I think what he did, he got on a plan where he's paying the minimum amount, but then the interest was greater than the minimum payment he was making, and he just found that out recently, subhanAllah. So that's what we also refinance our loan, and our average loan amount about $20,000 to $25,000, and our average loan repayment term is about 4 years. You had mentioned that in Howard University, you also encourage students to visit a continuous charity and apply online. Have you heard any stories of students who applied or seen some of the benefit that a continuous charity has in the community?
Absolutely. I spoke to a PhD student. She's a biology PhD student, and she received a loan from a continuous charity and is so thankful, so grateful, because she would not have been able to continue her PhD studies were it not for ACC. And she just sings the praises of ACC and tells the other students, apply, and hopefully you will get it too. No, it was a lifesaver for her.
Alhamdulillah, we have some comments as well. Our brother Salim asked a comment, please explain what the process of application is. They already know all this, so mashallah, I'm glad Salim is in it to win it. He knows the challenge that we have. And as I mentioned, the process to apply is very simple. You just visit our website and apply online. At ACC Charity, we ask just some basic information, such as we will ask you for your personal information, like name, email, telephone number, address. We'll also ask for financial information because we want to do our due diligence. We want to make sure that you are actually in the financial situation that you're in. We'll also ask for your high school, college transcripts, so we can now check your merit. And then the thing that can really help you, Salim, and others who are watching, is we ask for 2 letters of recommendation. Now, those letters of recommendation, the best people to write the letters of recommendation are people like Dr. Nisa Muhammad or other people in the Muslim community, because we want you to be able to show that, yes, I'm active in my community, I'm volunteering, I'm giving back, and that's the type of student that we really want to support. Once you have all the documentation, you go online and you apply, alhamdulillah, and then we have an application review committee that will then try to determine the loans that we give out. One of the things, Dr. Nisa, that I have a hard time doing with a continuous charity is the need is always so much greater than our income. And I think one of the hardest things I have to do is actually talk to students and tell them, we'd love to support you, we just financially can't do that. I wonder do you have maybe any advice for students who are trying to get this support, but also, maybe ACC can't help everybody, but maybe if you could give them some advice on what they could also do on their end as they pursue their higher education.
So I definitely encourage students to look and search for any and every scholarship they can. Apply to ACC, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. Even apply for scholarships you think you may not be qualified for. Because a lot of times scholarship companies or businesses have money that nobody has applied for, that they can't give it. So they have this excess money. I remember my youngest son, we were applying for scholarships for him. His name was Khalifa. So if
Mm,
you're not Muslim, you know Khalifa is a male name, but if you're not Muslim, it could be a female name. That they don't really. I was like, we're gonna apply for the girls' scholarships too. They will never know. And so we applied for all of this stuff. I mean, we just applied, and he got so many scholarships, things that he was qualified for, things that perhaps he was not all the way qualified for, because these places had money and
mm,
no one was applying for it. So the money would have just sat there. So I tell families, apply for everything. Finding scholarships is a job. You have
mm.
to approach it like a job. You have to hunt it down every day, apply every day, have your applications ready, your letters ready, all of that.
I agree. I think we actually have a college preparedness course that A Continuous Charity has created. And this is a course that I created along with our team as well. And it talks about college admissions, it talks about scholarships, reducing debt, paying back loans, FAFSA, and so many other elements of it as well. This was a course that we created really to start supporting our Muslim community. Because myself, I'm a first generation immigrant. My parents had no clue about college or higher education. So we're now giving this course out free to the entire community, inshallah. You can actually visit our website, and the page is still being built up right now. But the next few days, you can visit our website and you can actually take this course. Parents, if you have teenagers, or if you're a first generation immigrant, or if you yourself are in college or about to go to college, check out this course. You will learn a lot, inshallah, the best few hours you'll spend. Dr. Nisa, we have some more questions. I'm just going to bring them on here as
Okay.
well. So one of the questions are, this one's probably more for me. Salam, if you're attending medical school or dental school and loan repayment is 4 years, while the education 4 years, how it works and the students won't be working in the field? Great question. At A Continuous Charity, we get into one-on-one interviews with students, and we get to really know you and your background. Our average loan repayment is 4 years. Some students obviously need more time. Some students need less time, but it averages out to about 4 years. And what we try to do is we'll try to create a repayment plan that's realistic, and it's something that you could do in a timely manner, inshallah, as well. So we funded many medical students, alhamdulillah. And then even if we can't fund you, let's say your first year of medical school or the second year, we can then try to fund you your third or fourth year, or even try to refinance your loans as well, alhamdulillah. We had another question from Imani, Iman, and it says, it means, let's bring it in. It means a great deal to students like me who are working towards our dream while seeking halal financial opportunities. MashaAllah. Thank you so much for that. And she did have a question. Number one, the A Continuous Charity loan offered a rolling admission basis, first come, first serve. A great question. At A Continuous Charity, it's not first come, first serve. Rather, our application cycle opens January the 15th, which was on Wednesday, and it'll go until February the 28th. Everybody applies during that time. And what we'll do afterwards is our application review committee will then look at all of our applicants, and then we'll look at those 4 categories: merit, need, Islamic scholarship, and volunteerism. And then we'll try to distribute our loans as much as possible. These are very, very hard choices we have to make because we have so many amazing students and just such limited funds. Inshallah, in 10, 20, 30 years, I think ACC, if we went from 60,000 to almost 9 million in 10 years, maybe in the next 10, 20 years, we'll go from 9 million to 90 million, 100 million, a billion maybe, right? But that's where we are right now, inshallah.
Now I have a quick question. Are you accepting applications for funding for the fall, or can people use this money for now? That was a question somebody had asked me.
Yeah, a great question. The model that we have is people apply now, and then it'll be for the fall semester.
Okay, good.
Continuous Charity has a policy which we don't give the money directly to the students because it's an amana for us. You don't want to give an 18-year-old $30,000, right? But we will pay your educational institution directly or your loan holders directly, and then you pay us exactly what you took. We really do not make any money off of these loans. In fact, you could say we lose money because there's not interest, inflation. There we go. That's what it's called. So the money you pay back is actually worth a little bit less. But inshallah, a loan in Islam is the type of sadaqah. That's what we try to do. I have another question here from Salim. Thank you very much. If your loan is accepted, do I need to apply every year? Great question. So yes, you would have to apply every year, but it's not that challenging. The first loan application, just like the first scholarship that you apply for, that Dr. Nisa was saying, is the hardest to do. We are definitely very thorough in that. But then if you apply the next year, all you have to do is update your information. You don't have to do a whole application a second time. where I have all the information. Just update your information, update your school, update your loan amount, and that'll be it. Let's go on here. I meant to say for your payback. All right, we have this one. Melo, bless your effort. My second question is, do you have any advice on how applicants can strengthen their application? I do have a few pieces of advice. The number one best advice is apply, right? You can't get it unless you apply. You can't get a scholarship unless you apply. You can't get this one unless you apply. The second thing is seek out people like Dr. Nisa Muhammad. Seek out people like your imam. Seek out people that you're volunteering with, because those letters and your activism in the community is a major part of our criteria. We want to fund the next generation of leaders in our community at the end of the day. So that is something that you can also do as well. The third element is that we do a one-on-one interview. So prepare for that one-on-one interview. And of course, get good at telling your own story, inshallah. With that, those are all the questions that I see now. We might get a few more questions as we go through it. But Dr. Nisa, I want to ask you, you have kids and it sounds like they're in college as well. How did you deal with it?
So it was rough. My children are a little staggered. So I had a little bit of breathing room in between. I had two that were like a year apart. But one of my sons is an athlete, so he got a football scholarship. My daughter, had got a few scholarships, but there was still a gap between what she received and what was still owed to the campus. And my thing that I was like, you have to explore scholarships. We want to be able to do this. I said, but you got some brothers behind you that still want to go to college too. So we can't give all your money to you, to your school. And so, like I said, finding scholarships is a job. I mean, you have to absolutely be dedicated to finding scholarships, and don't give up, because the money is out there. I mean, Allah does not present any situation that we cannot handle. If it is a burden for us, it is, Allah knows that we can get through it. So the money is out there. We just have to be dedicated and committed to finding it. And ACC is a great source. They may give you some money, but there are other people out there, other places that are looking for young people to give money to.
Alhamdulillah, I think you nailed it right on the head. At the end of the day, guys, we're all in it together. I'm in it. I've got 3 kids. Dr. Nisa has gone through it. And I don't know, do you still have kids about to go to college, or are they all in?
No. Mine are all done. Thank you. Alhamdulillah, mine are all done.
So, at the end of the day, guys, this is a struggle. It is something that you have to work for. And I think you said the best. Treat it as a job when applying for scholarships. Treat it as, because either you treat it as a job or you actually get a job and pay back the interest on the loans as well. A Continuous Charity is going to be here to support as many community members as we can. I'll leave, because we're almost running out of time, I'll leave with one piece of advice with A Continuous Charity. If we can't support you directly, students can also work with A Continuous Charity, and we can also fundraise for students as well. We do this all across the country. Muslims will connect us with their local massages. We'll come and give khutbahs. We don't use your name or personal information. We'll come into the community, raise money, loan it to you, and then when you pay back your loan, you pay back into your local community fund, which is a great way of paying it forward on the local level as well, making that impact. Dr. Nisa, I have one last question, and then we're going to do remarks, and then we'll go ahead and end our show for today. All right. So thank you for the refinance option. How does it differ from the original loan repayment option? Also, does it vary in terms of competitiveness or criteria you're looking for? A great question. So our refinance option is something that we love to do. We love to support students who are refinancing, primarily because they've already graduated, they're already working, but they have that debt. And we know that they can pay off their debt a lot easier. The application is still the same. You still go on our website, you apply online. There's a section that says, are you applying for an interest-free loan, a refinance loan? And you would just click down applying for a refinance. It's a little bit less competitive, alhamdulillah, just because most of the students who are really needing it are in school still, and they're worried about how they're going to pay for their next semester of education. But it's something definitely want to check out. One of the things I recommend everybody to do is apply for an A Continuous Charity loan, because if we can't support you, you're put on a wait list, and then eventually one of the things I didn't mention is in 2024, we loaned out $1.1 million in educational loan, which is much a breakthrough for us. We received in loan repayments $900,000. So that compounding effect that we're looking for is now starting to build up, right? So even if you apply and you don't get it in round 1, maybe you'll get it in 6 months or a year or 2 years, right? Or maybe you'll get it when you graduate. Put your name in the system, and alhamdulillah, we have donors, we have supporters that are always trying to find ways to support students. Last question, and I promise it'll be the last one. Any recommendation for parents who are, oh, sorry, this is any recommendation for parents whose kids are applying? Yes, I would recommend visit our website, look at the criteria, and get the financial records, get your transcript from your school, and get those two letters of recommendation. If you can get those three things, the application is very easy after that. It's just stuff you already know, your name, email address, where you're studying, etc. like this. If you can get those three, it's going to make a huge impact for you and allow you to really apply very quickly. With that, guys, we're running out of time. I would love for Dr. Nisa, could you leave us with some words of wisdom or some words of advice before we wrap it up? And then I'll give our final concluding remarks, and then we'll let it go. I will say before Dr. Nisa speaks, this is the first in a series of webinars we'll be doing. Please stay tuned as these other webinars come forward, and we'd love to have your participation as well. Dr. Nisa, do you have some words of wisdom?
Yeah, so let me just say this. This ACC, a continuous charity, is a blessing from Allah. I work with students who have applied, who have received the loans, and are now able to continue their education. As he keeps repeating, apply, 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 apply. You won't get it if you don't apply. And if you don't apply, you won't get it. Apply. Inshallah, you'll get it. Inshallah, maybe the next year, but apply. And really, if you need money for school, make it a job. Keep looking every single place you can find to look for the money. There's the imam students. People have money talk to the people at your masjid. There's money. So inshallah, you will find it and Allah will bless you to be successful. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Welcome, Salaam Barakatuh. Inshallah, let me just wrap it up by giving some final thoughts. I want to thank again Dr. Nisa Muhammad for coming. It was such a pleasure to have her. Alhamdulillah, she's at the stage in her life where all of her kids have gone to college, alhamdulillah, so we're so happy and blessed for her. We encourage all you to apply. Again, visit our website, acceducate.org/apply to register, go online. On our website, you'll see soon the college preparedness course. I encourage every parent, every student, everybody out there, take those few hours, go through that course. You will learn a lot. You will also learn about federal programs to forgive loans and so much more that many of us just don't know. Take that course. It's absolutely for free. It's done in memory of my father who passed away a few weeks ago. May Allah forgive him and give him the highest level of Jannah. Ameen. And it's a type of sadaqah jari for him. So take that course and really benefit from it as much as possible. The last thing I'll say is, inshallah, we are in it together. We at ACC Interest-Free are here to try to support you with whatever means that we possibly can. And this is a small step in that direction. If we can't fund you directly, consider doing a fundraiser with ACC Interest-Free charity. Invite our team to come. We can raise money for you. We can connect you with donors. And we'll try to do anything we can to support as many students as possible. It's a crisis. It's a struggle we're all going through. But inshallah, this is one step, one solution to accomplish that. I want to say, Jazakallah khair everyone for your time. If you have other questions, please email us. I'll put the email in the chat, which is email us with questions at arc@acceducate.org. So I just put that in the chat for you all as well. Email us, contact us. We're here to support you. With that, I want to say Jazakallah khair for your time. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.